Hello everybody, this is Bird Brain, where here we are nerdy for the birdies. So, I'm recording this Sunday night right before midnight, so this will be out kind of Monday afternoonish, so news will probably change by the time I get this out, but I will say that we have completed the first week of free agency. It started off quiet, and then it kind of escalated, and it got a little interesting there. So I'm going to kind of highlight some of the main points of the first week of free agency, and highlight certain positions and certain things that were changed based on how the way free agency was laid out. So let's get into it. And the first thing I'm going to emphasize is patience. I've seen a lot of people talking about stuff with the roster, how the Eagles don't have this position or this position fully figured out yet. And I've seen a lot of people, not just for the Eagles, just around the league. And the biggest thing I'm going to emphasize is patience. You are 1 week into free agency, right? Legal tampering started Monday. The league year started on Wednesday. We're just starting out this process. You know, there's still a lot of time for free agency. You have trades. You still have the draft. We haven't had any of that yet. So for that reason, we just gotta take our time. You know, it's hard to really say anything about a roster in March because no one's roster is complete. Most rosters are missing large quantities of players. I know like teams like the Ravens and Chargers need offensive line really badly. There are teams that need wide receivers. The Bears need safeties and secondary players because they've lost a lot of those pieces in free agency. And, you know, you've got to just kind of be patient. Let things come to you, right? You pivot, you have plans on those plans, but you're not playing a game of football for the next few months. You've got a long time before we have to start panicking about where the roster is. So I always emphasize patience early on. Let's talk about the cornerback room for the Eagles. They got a couple of additions in free agency. The Eagles obviously made the signing of Riq Woolen, their first outside free agent of the season. He was signed on Tuesday for a 1-year deal. And they also added Jonathan Jones, I believe, on Thursday, just for a 1-year deal for depth reasons. And I really think they've bolstered the cornerback room, and especially getting Riq Woolen as your number 2 corner. Opposite of Quinyon, you've got Cooper DeJean, and I think this is a signing that's a really smart signing for all sides. It gives the Eagles a higher ceiling corner 2. Riq Woolen an opportunity to play well in this defense, and if he does have a really good season, and he signs that huge contract next offseason, because I don't think the Eagles would pay him, given the fact that they're going to be paying Quinyon next offseason, and especially Coop, because Coop doesn't have a 5th-year option. And I doubt the Eagles are going to pay 3 corners, so in my opinion, I could see Riq Woolen coming here. If he has a great season, he walks, he gets a good deal on the market, and the Eagles collect a comp pick for it. And right now the Seahawks might be getting like a 5th or 6th round pick for it, but if he walks out, he signs like a $20+ billion deal. That's a 3rd or 4th round comp pick for the Eagles, and I think you feel really good about that if he has the season that we think he can have. Jonathan Jones just adds more to the depth, and I've seen people kind of poo-pooing the signing a little bit. And to those who are, all I'll say is, well, do you guys remember what the depth looked like last year? I mean, look at Week 18, how poorly the corners played against Washington. How basically every other play was just pass interference and blown coverages. And those are the guys backing up the starters. Or even Week 6 when Quinyon went down, how bad the secondary looked just without Quinyon. So it's good to have extra depth in the secondary. So I definitely do like these moves, and it definitely makes you feel like the Eagles have one of the strongest corner rooms in the league, if not the strongest. My 3rd point has been the chase for the edge position. And the Eagles have been kind of big game hunting in this position. We'll start off with Jalen Phillips, who leaves in free agency for a massive deal with the Carolina Panthers, which is going to net the Eagles a 3rd round comp pick. But the Eagles have been looking in that range for an edge rusher. There's rumors that they were interested in Max Crosby before that whole debacle occurred. Who knows if they're still interested. They were interested in Trey Hendrickson before he signed with Baltimore. Even the day of him signing with Baltimore, the Eagles had put in an offer. So it's very interesting to know what It's very interesting to see how involved they've been in the edge market. There's been rumors about them trading for Jonathan Grenard from the Vikings, rumors about trading back for Josh Sweat, who went to the Cardinals. With the firing of Jonathan Gannon, there's been speculation that Sweat may not be happy there, and maybe he'd want to come back. You know, I could see that happening. It'll be very interesting. But yeah, so the Eagles have been big game hunting at the edge position. They did sign Arnold Ebiketie from the Falcons. This is a signing I view more as a depth signing. I don't see this as a signing of, this is the big edge rusher they're going to get. They got him only for 1 year. I think this is more to replace the Josh Uche, Azeez Ojulari, Agbo Okawankwo kind of role. They're still looking for that edge one type to pair with Nolan and Jalix. So we'll see what we get. Who knows, maybe by the time this video is uploaded, the Eagles do make that trade. You never really know with Howie, he's always busy. Another position group I've seen people concerned about is safety. The Eagles obviously lost Reed Blankenship to the Houston Texans, which might net a comp pick. It depends on how some of these contracts the Eagles have already signed kind of lay out. When you've noticed the safeties that have been signed around the league, they're not signing for massive contracts. A lot of them are signing for anywhere between $5 million to around $8 million. So these are solid, good safeties that can play in this league. And the Eagles, as far as we know, weren't really in on any of these deals. And the fact that they didn't make those deals is interesting. I think it says to me that they're going to look for their guy in the draft, which makes sense. It's a very nice safety class this year, so I think they're just going to kind of dip into that. And yeah, they'll be young at safety, and they'll probably just pair Makuba with, like, Epps again, which hasn't happened yet, but with stuff that happened today, which I'm about to talk about, I think we'll see some moves this week that'll kind of, like, ease some concerns, and I think we'll start to see a little bit of motion for this team at free agency. But yeah, I wouldn't overly be concerned about the safety position just yet. There's a lot of things you can still do. You can still sign a veteran on the market. There's a lot of older players left still out there, so we'll see what they can sign. There's trade options. People have brought up Jesse Bates, for example, with the Falcons, because he's on the final year of his deal, and the Falcons are rebuilding, so I could see that kind of conversation. And of course, there's the draft. So again, I wouldn't panic just yet, but yeah, so that's safety. Moving on to the tight end position, which as of today, the Eagles have brought back Dallas Goedert. Yeah, the Eagles managed to work it out. They brought him back for a 1-year, $7 million deal. They re-signed Calcaterra earlier this week, and they added Johnny Munt, a blocking tight end who has a lot of experience with Sean Mannion, because Sean Mannion literally played with him for a good chunk of his career in a couple of spots, both with the Rams and the Vikings. So it's nice to see Sean Mannion get one of his guys. So while the tight end room isn't significantly different than last year, I like bringing back Goddard, especially with the rumors with AJ and the uncertainty there. Bringing somebody that has a huge familiarity with Jalen Hurts, especially someone who is as close to as Goddard, I think you just feel really, really good about that. And of course, pairing him up with Calcaterra. Obviously, Calcaterra did not have the greatest season last year, but I feel like Calcaterra was kind of that safety blanket that if the Eagles couldn't bring back Goddard, at least they had someone that Jalen was comfortable throwing to in the tight end room. And obviously now, we'll see what happens. I still think they're going to go into the draft and add a tight end, because they kind of have the same problem as last year, where they have nobody under contract beyond this season. And I will be very surprised with a class that, while I don't think it's the greatest class of tight ends, I think it's a solid class where you can find good depth guys. I think you can find that in this class, and I think the Eagles should take advantage of that. I've been going through that position in particular right now in the draft. The future of defensive tackle has been an interesting conversation, because the Eagles extended Jordan Davis. This happened last Saturday, I believe, just before free agency. Gave him a nice contract, a lot larger than I think most of us expected him to get, but nonetheless, we get to keep Jordan Davis, and the Eagles are at work negotiating an extension for Jalen Carter. There were some rumors about the Eagles trading Jalen Carter, and a lot of them didn't make sense, especially to the Packers, for a lot of reasons. I mean, number one, the Packers literally just traded for Micah Parsons, so they don't have a first-round pick the next 2 years. The Packers are kind of up against it with the cap. They're paying a ton of money to Micah. I mean, they let a lot of their own guys go this offseason. And number 3, I mean, they're in conference. I just don't think that was ever going to happen. They don't have the draft capital, they're in conference, and they don't really have the money either, so it would make 0 sense for the Packers to trade for him. Just weird rumors that don't make any sense. But nonetheless, the Eagles, it was shut down that the Eagles were even trying to trade him at all, but it feels like the Eagles are going to keep the two together. Really excited. And the last position I want to talk about is linebacker, because I think this has been another one that people have been a little concerned about because of some news that came out this week. So obviously, the Eagles lost to Kobe Dean in free agency, which frankly I expected. The second you drafted Jahad Campbell, the writing was on the wall for Nakobe Dean. You know, you had Zach Bond, who's continuously really, really good, and I'm starting to realize his 2025 season was underrated, because a lot of people didn't think he had that good of a year, which I vehemently disagree with. I thought he was really, really good. I just didn't have like the splash plays that he had in 2024, but I think that's something that was always going to happen. It's kind of like a regression to the mean. Anyway, and the other news that came out is at an event, Vic Fangio let it slip that Jahad Campbell has an injury, which sucks, but from what it sounds like to me, just reading between the tea leaves, it sounds like it's something he's mostly just going to miss, like OTAs and maybe mini camp for. It shouldn't affect training camp too much, and it definitely shouldn't affect any regular season play, which I'm perfectly fine with. I mean, the same thing happened last year with Jahad, and he was perfectly ready to go by training camp. I am at this point, you know, I think that I understand why people are nervous about Jahad, and I understand why people really like Nakobe, but the fact of the matter is that, you know, we gave Nakobe a chance to develop. I mean, people forget what Nakobe was like his first couple of years here. It wasn't pretty, right? I remember training camp 2024 when I started this channel. You know, I remember I was at the public practice and he had that play towards the end where he gets beat by Kenny Gainwell, and a lot of people made fun of him for it. It was not like people gave him crap, and you know, the thing about it is that guys need to develop in this league. We have to be patient. We have to give these guys the opportunities to develop. And we saw that with Nakobe. He developed into a really good linebacker. And now it's time for to do the same for Jahad. So you just got to be patient. We can't panic. Can't let any of that happen. So that is the first week of free agency for the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be doing this probably every week as long as there's substantial news. If there isn't, I'll probably just add an extra week or whatever until eventually I'll just do one when it feels right. But anyway, this has been Bird Brain. Hope you guys enjoyed being nerdy today. Fly, Eagles, fly. See you around.